Hello everyone, and welcome back to Best Manhwa Recap. Your support means a lot to me, and I am thrilled to introduce you to this new manhwa. Once upon a time, a mighty dragon attempted to destroy one of the three underworld realms, leaving this realm of the dead on the brink of annihilation. There was but one person among all the forces in the realm of the dead capable of resisting and defeating the dragon. He was one of the 12 princes of the realm of the dead. He managed to defeat the dragon and save the underworld. Upon becoming the supreme ruler, he created a great artifact, after which he passed away. His former subordinates staged a rebellion, and countless treasures and lands were divided among them. But many years later, in the world of the living where there were no dragons and people led normal lives, a man was resting on a bench in a park when, quite unexpectedly, a little girl approached him to strike up a conversation. She told him that he needed to return to the realm of the dead to claim his inheritance and take revenge on the traitors of his great ancestor. Lu Wu extended his hand and ruffled her hair, asking if she would accompany him to the underworld. She blushed and happily accepted his offer. Smiling down at her, he added that he needed to call his friend to provide him with some horses and men to conquer the underworlds. These words upset the girl, and she hit him properly. Lu Wu fell to his knees, vomiting yesterday's meal, astonished at the strength of such a small girl. She also stated that he would accompany her to the underworld, and at that moment, he saw a black dot rapidly spinning and growing in size. Before he could comprehend what was happening, he felt a loss of weight, and just like that, he was sucked into this magical circle. At the same time, in the realm of the dead, a column of light descended from the heavens, and along with it, Lu Wu found himself in a new world. He was puzzled about what had happened and what this place was. Could it really be the very world ruled by his ancestor? Bai Li walked down the stairs and confirmed that these lands indeed rightfully belonged to him. Lu Wu clarified, "So, I am now the new lord, one of the rulers of the realm of the dead?" She responded, "Of course. But before that happens, you need to reclaim the lost lands. After all, everything that belongs to you has been plundered." Hearing this, he suddenly felt invigorated. "Then let's go. Let's reclaim what is rightfully mine." Bai Li laughed and said that he needed to start from scratch and that it wouldn't be easy, but she had a combat artifact. Hearing this, Lu Wu immediately turned around. "Although you don't look strong, this combat artifact sounds very, very tempting. This is indeed a unique artifact in the world of shadows, created by his ancestor Bei Qi, with the goal of unifying the entire shadow world. Although he fell at the final stage of creating the artifact, it helped him complete the last step. Thus, the functions of this artifact are absolutely complete and powerful. The most powerful function of this combat artifact is its ability to concentrate dark energy from all corners of the shadow world, creating an invulnerable body. As long as the soul exists, the body can be changed at any time, achieving the goal of practical immortality. With enough souls, an army of unbeatable shadows can be created." Having said this, she put the ring on his thumb. The combat artifact was successfully bound. Basic functions, such as the movement of body and soul between worlds, were activated. Lu Wu pondered for a moment. "These abilities are indeed unique, but where can I get so many souls? And what will happen if there are no souls?" Hearing these words, Bai Li immediately burst into loud tears. "How could I not have thought of this? Without a soul, this artifact seems to lose its power." Lu Wu immediately reached out and gently stroked her head, trying to calm her down. Then she took out a small notebook and began to read. Lu Wu, 23 years old, descendant of the 365th generation of King Bei Qi, owner of a small gaming website with incredibly low traffic. You know I'm involved in game development. Can we somehow expand the functionality of this artifact? For example, allow ordinary people from the world of the living to enter the underworld through gaming experience, turning them into our immortal warriors. All we need is for the game to become popular. Then we will have an endless number of warriors. You understand what I mean? She thought seriously and found the idea feasible. The players' bodies can perish, but they will be able to form a shadow body again. It will be like resurrecting in the game. He did not expect that someone so young could grasp the essence of this method. Bai Li laughed. "After all, I'm a century-old gamer," but he felt uneasy. Creating a game from the realm of the dead is not an easy task. A full-fledged gaming system with quests, a store, character classes and so on is required. But she assured him that there was no need to worry, saying that the artifact is capable of not only creating immortal warriors, It can use the energy of darkness and soul power to create various things, including architectural landscapes and equipment. The power of the soul is the most important indicator of a creature's might from the realm of the dead. The more powerful the creature, the more soul power it produces. Players can use it to level up or purchase items. Most importantly, we can extract a portion of the soul power that players receive for killing monsters. This will aid in empowering you, as well as contribute to the restoration of the Northern Chi Palace, and serve as a reward for completing quests. How about we set this percentage at 20%? Lu Wu immediately suggested raising it to 30%. Having agreed on the plan, they entered the already ruined chambers of the king and immediately discovered a secret door. This was the place where his ancestors had crafted the artifact, and she had been the sole assistant from the beginning to the end of this process. Here, despite the ruin, one could still feel the former grandeur and glory. About 2 hours had passed since the beginning of the alteration of his game. Completely exhausted, Bailey collapsed to the ground. At last, the remodeling was complete. They added a magical circle for transferring souls to the VR helmet. As soon as a player downloads and launches the game, what remains is just to connect the artifact to the server of his game. The player's souls will be drawn into the game server and then sent to the underworld through the VR helmet. Lu Wu was ecstatic, realizing that the players would not only be unaware of the existence of the underworld, but would also think that it's an incredibly realistic game. Bei Li has even come up with a name for the game. It will be named after the artifact, Battle Online. Very soon, the game was launched on the gaming platform. To attract visitors, it was announced that there would be no in-game purchases and that its realism reached 100%. But 2 hours passed, and not a single user decided to try the game. This seriously worried Bei Li, because in the eastern part of the royal palace, there was a garrison under the command of the ghost general Sha Na, boasting more than 500,000 soldiers, and he continued to expand his territories. Nobody knew when he would start the invasion, but if the main city fell, they would lose completely. And his soul in the underworld would suffer, because he was a descendant of King Beizi, never having a chance for salvation. Hearing this, Lu Wu's face turned pale. How was he now supposed to find 500,000 strong players? As both of them were engulfed in despair and thinking of finding another solution, a notification sound came from the computer. A player named Wang Damong had entered the server. It turned out that this man had come to check the authenticity of the game. He was astonished, wondering how a game of 800 Mendobai dared to claim it had a realism level of 100%. The most popular game at the moment, Atlantis, had a realism level of just 55%. This was no longer a mere exaggeration in advertising. It was clear-cut fraud. He thought as he entered the game, following the standard procedure. This professional gamer wanted to test and expose the falsehood. He intended to file a complaint and earn a substantial reward. At this moment, Lu Wu and Bei Li were monitoring the situation. Lu Wu asked, "Claiming a 100% realism level really makes players skeptical. It's like when you, Bei Li, were trying to persuade me to return to the underworld and inherit the legacy to become a king." Without hesitation, Bei Li punched him in the stomach. "That's exactly what it is. I was simply telling the truth." He was once again astonished by how strong a little girl could be. He also asked whether the players would feel real pain. Bei Li responded, "Don't worry, I've taken care of that. The player's pain is minimized, but this only applies to pain." Suddenly, a few drops of blood fell on the face of the player Wang Damang. Under the murky blood-red moonlight, bloody rain fell from the sky, and a cold wind whistled ferociously around, as if transporting the player to hell. Everything was so realistic that Wang Damang couldn't believe a game of just 800 Mendobai could achieve such realism. He even thought he might have died from an electric shock. After loading into the game, Wang Damang sighed in relief. "Thank God I'm not dead. It really is just a game." He was puzzled about why there was no character class capable of health regeneration. There were mages, warriors, and archers available. At this moment, the two observers laughed quietly at their only player on the server. If there was a class capable of health regeneration, how then would they sell health potions in the store and earn souls? The next moment, his body was enveloped in a glow, and he slowly stood up, like a blooming lotus. He then transformed into a junior assassin, donned a set of clothes, and took a dagger in his hand, immediately feeling a surge of strength. The flexibility of his body had significantly improved. At that moment, a new quest for beginners appeared. Kill 10 wandering souls. The reward was 5 soul coins. Lu Wu felt that the initial equipment was too weak and was worried that players simply wouldn't be able to kill the monsters. Bai Li was also perplexed. They depended on players hunting creatures from the world of the dead to earn soul power. This was only their first player, and they didn't have extra soul coins to create powerful equipment. But as the coins accumulated, a variety of powerful equipment would become available. At this moment, a look of disdain appeared on Van Damme's face. He thought these would just be low-level mobs in this game. All he needed to do was kill 10 mounts. It seemed like a very easy task. He firmly grasped a dagger in his hand, filled with martial determination, and moved towards the outskirts. The time had come to show his skill. As he moved forward, he suddenly heard distant, moaning sounds. The sound was so gloomy and creepy that he felt fear taking hold of him. He tried to convince himself that there was nothing to be afraid of since it was just a game. But at that very moment, a strange white figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Then, the wandering soul spoke. "Oh, a living being. What a delightful soul. I am going to devour you." After these words, it lunged at him. But, as befits a professional player, he quickly parried the attack with his dagger. "These first enemies are as frightening as bosses in other games," he muttered discontentedly. "But in the end, initial monsters are just initial monsters, that's all. They are created to scare with their appearance." Encouraged by his words, the wandering soul became even more malicious. After that, it started to hit Van Damme with its tail. He was shocked. He couldn't believe that even the small monsters in this game had such a realistic emotion system. It was truly incredible. The game captivated him, and he started attacking the wandering soul, hacking at his opponent one blow after another. Soon, the wandering soul was covered in wounds. With a trembling voice, it cried out, "Cursed humans, how could you be so strong? It seems I have to use my real lethal moves." Van Damme continued to mock. "Come on, attack me. Show me what your so-called deadly strike can do. Let's find out how powerful it is." But as soon as he finished speaking, the wandering soul, like a fierce dragon, switched to tornado mode and struck him. The speed was so high that Van Damme was completely unprepared and took the full brunt of the attack on his face. At that moment, Van Damme was thrown back and fell, continuing to complain. "Does this initial monster even have strong secondary skills? I don't even have a single decent one." Van Damme lay on the ground, catching his breath, while his equipment was in a sorry state. It was all too realistic. The equipment had a durability level, but now he was left with just 2% health. It was a matter of one more hit. He was not going to retreat. After all, he was a professional gamer who had been through countless battles. How could he get stuck right at the start in the newbie village? Not expecting such resistance, he gathered his thoughts, grabbed the dagger, and rushed forward, determined to show his last strike on which he staked his pride. However, just as he made an attempt to attack, his foot caught on a stone. Van Damme, who had just been full of fighting spirit, suddenly face-planted into the dust. Unexpectedly, his dignity was abandoned, and his health instantly dropped to 0. After which, the system issued a notification. Player Van Damme has perished in the game. Respawn time, 3 hours. Bai Li, who had been observing all this from behind the scenes, was quite dismayed. This guy couldn't even handle a beginner monster, and he calls himself a professional gamer. Lu Wu said that perhaps they should adjust the equipment's durability a bit. And also, they need to review the environmental damage and why the respawn time is set to 3 hours. Bai Li replied, "When a player dies in the shadow world, their body, though made of dark energy, gets destroyed, and their soul rapidly returns to the original body. This has a slight impact on their psyche, so a break is necessary." On the other side, Van Damme, having removed his helmet, returned back to reality. He was furious. All his glory had crumbled because of a tiny stone. And then these 3 hours of waiting for resurrection in the game, he wanted to get back in as soon as possible. Unable to bear the agonizing weight, he forwarded information about the game to his team's chat in the old game, spreading the news, challenging them. He promised to pay each of them 10,000 gold coins if they didn't like it. Influenced by Van Damme, a large number of players started entering the game. Soon after, they found themselves as astonished as Van Damme had been earlier. The realism of the scenes completely baffled them. After making their choices for preferred professions, they also received their initial quests. At that moment, a ghost appeared, repeating the same words. "Delicious souls, I'm going to eat them." One of the players, frightened, exclaimed, What a horrifying monster. This game is too realistic. Let's run away. But another objected. Are we, a bunch of pros, really afraid of the first monster in this area? After a brief discussion, they all enthusiastically charged into the attack. Bei Li, observing all this from behind the scenes, commented, "Look at how much fun they are having. We've succeeded." Lu Wu nodded in agreement. They are adapting quickly and work well as a team. Probably they are players from some professional gaming team. However, at this very moment, Van Damen was chatting in a group chat, continuously sending messages. Yet, 30 minutes had already passed, but there was still no response. In the world of the game, one of the professional players was the first to kill 2 weakened spirits. He declared that he would take on the last 2 weakened spirits himself. The man wanted to complete the mission first and receive the reward in order to strengthen the power of their team. As soon as he finished speaking, his level instantly rose to level 2. He was astonished, feeling the level up was unlike other games where only the data about defeated monsters changes. He could actually feel his physical strength growing. Hearing this, everyone around burst into joyful exclamations. This is just incredible! Doesn't this mean that we can experience the sensation of being superheroes right in the game? Meanwhile, Chen Ziyu, out of curiosity, opened the level 1 store to see what was available for purchase. Soon the shop interface appeared before his eyes, and he noticed that the goods for mages were noticeably more expensive than for other classes, which made him feel satisfied with his choice of the Berserker class. Looking at the 14 coins in his inventory, he finally decided to resolutely purchase a Trolls Club. Under the admiring gazes of those around, Chen Ziyu swung his new weapon. I can feel myself getting stronger. Brothers, let's quickly get through the newbie village. And according to Bei Li's settings, each time players killed monsters, they could take 30% of the loot for themselves, meaning that in half an hour with 30 spirits, Liu Qian had earned 27 coins. Bei Li also noted that they also received a percentage from the store purchases, because the goods were sold with a 30% markup. So the more the players bought, the more they earned. This is what's called a win-win situation. The players have fun, and they earn coins. 3 hours later, Chen Ziyu and his team finally reached the Ghost Spirit Mountain range. The fog on the map began to dissipate, and the true contours of the terrain started to reveal themselves. At that moment, a quest prompt appeared. A special monster has been detected, initiating a quest chain. All participants who kill the Ghost Warrior will receive an additional reward of 3 soul coins. The dropped items can be exchanged in the store. The sound of the prompt had barely faded when a creature with bull's horns and an enormous muscular body appeared before their eyes, radiating unimaginable power. The Ghost Warrior. At that moment, Chen Ziyu, taking on the leader's role, rushed forward. I'll draw its attention. You all give it everything you've got, watch your positioning, and dodge its attacks. And don't spare any healing potions. We have a lot of people. Even if we just scratch it, we should be able to kill it. However, each strike from the Ghost Warrior left huge craters in the ground, and everyone present hesitated to take the blows, continuing to dodge instead. Bei Li asked Lu Wu, "Isn't it too early for them to be fighting an elite monster?" Lu Wu replied, "I don't think so. This group of players is much stronger than we could have imagined. Ordinary ghost spirits no longer satisfy them, so we need to constantly provide them with new challenges. Moreover, this Ghost Warrior might drop an item that will be very useful to you." Hearing this, Lu Wu immediately became interested. What kind of interesting item is it? But Bei Li mysteriously smiled. It's a secret for now. You'll find out soon. Clearly, this Ghost Warrior was extremely strong, but luckily, they were all professional players, reacting excellently and dodging the blows, continuing to inflict damage. The monster's health was reduced to 2%. They had besieged it for an entire hour, and their healing potions had run out. They were so close to victory. Would all their efforts over the past hour be in vain? But at that moment, a white light suddenly flickered above the Ghost Warrior's head. Then, Wang Depan's voice rang out. "I told you not to start without me, and now look what's happened. See? Without me, your elder brother, things just don't work out." The next moment, Wang Depan delivered a powerful blow to the back of the Ghost Warrior, instantly depleting its remaining health. Soon, a white light began to flicker on each of them, a clear sign that they had leveled up. They reveled in the surge of strength from their improved attributes. At the same time, some magical shell was removed from the body of the Ghost Warrior, revealing a palm-sized black pearl. Ghost Pearl. which could be sold in the shop for 28 coins. Stay in the loop with all the latest stories by hitting that subscribe button and joining us here at Best Manhwa Recap. Now, let's get back to our story. After they sold the pearl, it instantly transferred to Lu Wu. You say this item will help me? This unremarkable dark pearl? What does it even do? Liu asked. Swallow it, and you'll find out, Bei Li replied. Lu Wu immediately bit into it and found that the taste was a bit strange, repulsive even. However, soon after he ate the ghost pearl, he felt his body fill with warmth. The warmth spread from the inside out. He was astonished. Could this ghost pearl really improve him? Bei Li explained. Even though you are a descendant of a great dynasty, your physical constitution is too ordinary. We must use such means to improve your health so that your body becomes stronger and stronger. Hearing this, Lu Wu immediately caught fire with fighting spirit and said, Then what are we waiting for? We need to urgently intensify our efforts and bring more players into the game. This way, we can avenge our ancestors and unify the underground kingdom as soon as possible. After these words, Lu Wu's fighting spirit flared up with new strength. He wanted to attract as many players to this game as possible. Only in this way could he more quickly pay his respects to his ancestors and unify the underground kingdom. Game time has reached 12 hours, and a forced logout from the system will soon occur. All players are requested to prepare. The appearance of this warning took everyone by surprise. Are there time restrictions here too? This game cares too much about health. Could this be a mistake? Maybe you could give me a bit more time. I'm even willing to pay. 5 minutes later, amidst widespread complaints, all players were forcibly ejected from the game. Lu Wu was perplexed. He had just assigned them so many new tasks. How could the game forcibly kick them out? Bei Li responded, This is also done to protect the players. Their souls may have arrived in the underworld, but their bodies are still in reality. If they spend too much time here, their bodies won't be able to withstand it. Van de Man, back in reality, was still full of enthusiasm. He no longer saw any meaning in life and wanted to continue playing the game. With nothing to do, he checked the messages in the group and discovered that the boss was looking for people everywhere. It turned out that the game Atlantis was preparing for a team competition, but none of the team members were online for training today. Seeing the boss's curses in the group, he became upset and even more irritable, with no desire to return to the old game. In any case, the contract had not yet been signed, he thought, and kicked the boss out of the team's group. Seeing this, the other team members also followed his example and left the group chat. On the third day, a group of friends agreed to meet in a small restaurant on the street to taste local delicacies and discuss the game. They wanted to make a large sum of money in the new game that had just been released online. Team captain Chen Jiyu found this quite strange. The game didn't offer options for topping up one's account, and it wasn't advertised on major platforms. Could it be that the creator of this game is really so well off that he doesn't need the money? Meanwhile, the two game creators were eating instant noodles. Bei Li was eating and crying at the same time. As a descendant of the northern tribes, I've fallen into such poverty. This is too bad. Lu Wu gently patted her on the head. Little Bei Li, be good. As soon as we have more players, we will have many ways to make money. Then, I'll treat you to seafood delicacies, and you'll be full and happy. By the way, Bei Li, usually gaming companies make money by opening up channels for in-game purchases, right? Maybe we should also add such a feature to our game, Lu Wu suggested. Hearing this, Bei Li excitedly slammed the table. No way! The coins in their game are very rare, and players have to earn them on their own. We can't risk our integrity for petty profit. We should think more about how to promote the game to attract more players. That's more practical, she responded. Lu Wu also felt helpless. He was really very poor right now and couldn't afford to help with promoting the game. Bei Li was also downhearted. All she ate was instant noodles, and she had no opportunity to try anything else. Suddenly, Lu Wu said, No matter how hard it is, we can't let the child suffer. Don't worry, I have a plan. You have a plan? Bei Li asked in surprise. It turned out that Lu Wu had just learned about the Best New Game of the Year campaign, where all new games are evaluated by experts, and games that score 8 or more out of 10 receive a reward in the form of promotion on the homepage. The campaign lasts for 30 days. The great thing about this campaign was that participation was absolutely free, although it required the game to score at least 8 points for promotion. Lu Wu confidently applied for participation, because a game with 100% realism like theirs was unique in the market at that time. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the gaming platform, one of the game testers had just finished testing another game. "What a piece of junk," he exclaimed, having tested the game. "The audacity to participate in the new games list with this. A total waste of time. Barely worth 2 points." After rating it, he moved on to the next game for testing according to the list. However, the description of this game completely baffled him. "Conquest Online, an 800 medley game with realistic graphics. Are you kidding?" He couldn't believe his eyes. Swearing, he put on the virtual reality helmet, convinced it was a complete scam, intending to log in for a minute and leave a bad review for this game. But the subsequent gaming experience made him rethink his decision. Everything inside was so realistic. So he spent a straight 12 hours in the game until the system kicked him out. "This game is a perfect match for me. It deserves extra points. The only drawback is the time limit on gameplay." Following this, he dialed his boss's number. The phone rang for a long while before an answer came through. "Hello, boss, it's me, the game evaluator. I've found a real gem. In the process of evaluating, I came across a game with almost 100% realism. I tested it for 12 hours. If we grab this novelty, our company could become #1 in the national gaming market." Wu Guo opened his email and snorted coldly. "An 800 megabytes game and you're calling it a treasure? Are you kidding me? Today's market is full of games boasting realism, and they all start from 50 gigabytes. But the game tester spoke quickly, clearly agitated. "Boss, please don't be mad. Just try it for yourself. If you don't like it, I will resign immediately." Hearing this, Wu Guo put on the virtual reality helmet. "I've played countless games throughout my life and have long since become indifferent to them. A game that could satisfy me simply does not exist in this world." However, as soon as he entered the game, he was astonished. The realism of the game had indeed reached perfection, just as Mu Qing had said. It was an experience he had never felt before. This game would undoubtedly be a hit. The next day, Bailey was finally able to try something other than instant noodles, eating a portion of fried rice from a roadside kiosk, the second type of food in her life. At the same time, Lu Wu received a call from an unknown number. Picking up, he asked who was calling. Wu Guo responded, "Hello, could you confirm that you are the owner of Conquest Online? I am the head of the 173 games platform. I have a proposal that I would like to discuss with you. Do you have some free time?" Wu Guo, having not slept all night, was very tired. He had unknowingly spent 12 hours in the game. If not for the system's forced exit, he might still be playing. Lu Wu agreed without hesitation. "No problem, I'll be right there." This swift agreement struck Wu Guo. He realized he had a good chance to acquire this game, and asked Lu Wu to send the coordinates so he could come to him. These words made Lu Wu realize that his game had already attracted attention, and anticipation awakened in his heart. After this, he sent the coordinates. Receiving the coordinates, Wu Guo exclaimed in delight, "What a coincidence, we are in the same city. Wait for me, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And sure enough, exactly 20 minutes later, a sports car raced to the location and stopped at the roadside cafe. A middle-aged man got out of the car. "Greetings, my name is Wu Guo. I am the head of the 173 games platform, and I am the one who has been looking for you." The owner of the fried rice stall couldn't hold back tears of joy. Is this really not a dream? Does such an important person like this director actually want to buy out my humble stand? He saw how the important person in front of him suddenly started talking to two visitors, which upset the man. Wu Guo slightly bowed and asked if they could go to a more decent place to talk privately. Seeing that the girl didn't want to leave, he decided to suggest going to another place where the food is much tastier. Accepting the offer, Bei Li, reluctantly putting down her chopsticks, took Lu Wu's hand, and they left the fried rice stand. After a while, they found themselves in the most luxurious restaurant in the city. Lu Wu, just one bottle of wine cost 10,000. Wu Guo asked, "I have a question for you. Was this amazing game developed by your team independently, or did you outsource it to a famous studio?" Lu Wu was perplexed. He didn't even know how to answer. If he admitted that only one person participated in the development, he could at best consider himself a strategist and planner. Seeing his indecision, Wu Guo got straight to the point. "You don't have to share this commercial secret, but let me be frank with you. Lu Wu, I really love and highly appreciate your game, and I would like to buy it. You can set the price yourself. I promise I will offer you a satisfactory amount." Lu Wu thought to himself that he knew it. This man indeed came here to buy his game. Then, he tactfully refused him, saying, "I'm sorry, but we've invested a tremendous amount of effort and resources into this game. We are not planning to sell it at the moment." But Wugo seemed prepared for such a turn and immediately offered, 10 billion? How about this amount? Trying to maintain his composure, he set down his glass and began to speak. "I am truly grateful. For me, developing a game is primarily about passion, and money is not the main thing." But he didn't get to finish his speech. Wugo added, "What about 15 billion? Would that be enough?" This amount made Lu Wu's heart beat like crazy. The offer seemed incredibly tempting. Unfortunately, selling the game was impossible because the underworld was real, and the game control was personally tied to it. Aside from him, possessing a divine weapon, no one else could control it. Realizing this, he, under the guise of honesty, said, "Honestly, my team and I really have no intention of selling this game. Passion and dreams are priceless." But inside, he felt like he was on the edge of an abyss. After all, we're talking about 150 billion. Wugo had never seen such a decisive young man in the face of 15 billion. His maturity and foresight far surpassed his peers, as if he saw his younger self in him. So, he tried to change tactics, offering to exclusively release the game on his gaming platform, promising to pay 1 billion a year. Lu Wu fell into deep thought. "I once promised Bai Li to return Bai Ci, even if it meant conquering the entire underworld." Thus, the number of players played a crucial role. Accepting the offer would undoubtedly limit the maximum number of players online in military campaigns. After this, he declined. "I apologize, but I cannot accept your offer. However, I am willing to grant exclusive rights to host the game on your platform for 2 months, provided that you agree to promote my game on the main page during that time." Wugo was stunned on the spot. This young man turned out to be a tough negotiator. He completely disrupted my rhythm and maintained a dominating position in the negotiations. Then, raising his glass, he said, "Lu Wu, although you are a challenging partner to work with, I still accept this offer. I'm willing to bet that your game will be a hit. Moreover, regardless of your position in the rankings, I'll give you the chance to showcase your game's graphics at the festival." Lu Wu thought to himself that showcasing his game at the festival was their most expensive promotional tactic, and it was indeed a crucial tool for attracting players. Upon returning home, they seized the moment and immediately began to expand and enhance the game's design. Bai Li immediately proposed a plan. Under the reign of King Bai Ci, there were Ghost Kings and 10 Ghost Generals. After King Bai Ci's death, Bai Ci was divided into 13 regions by these forces. Their territory is located in the east, where the underworld realm is, and the territory closest to it is completely controlled by the Ghost General Sha Na. Lu Wu replied, "The Ghost General Sha Na is the farthest away from us, isn't he? I remember, Bai Li, you said he could attack us at any moment. If we lose the main city, everything will be lost, and I will never be able to reincarnate." He suggested setting the starting quests from level 15. Otherwise, new players wouldn't be able to cope even with the Phantom Soldiers, let alone form a large-scale combat force. Another issue was that he wanted to create an NPC and endow it with self-awareness, so it could act autonomously. Now, there was another problem. How could one easily create an NPC's body and endow it with self-awareness? Bai Li said that it was not difficult to do. The underworld is a destination for living beings. You can search for those beings that have just been born in the underworld and have not yet manifested their spiritual minds. We can use an artifact to reorganize their souls, give them new memories and a mission. The beings, after death, will be randomly reborn in the netherworld. We decided to release a quest for players to search for these initial creatures and then transform them into NPCs ourselves. Very soon, both set a permanent quest in their game, offering 100 soul coins in the store for each initial soul found. Now, all that was left was to create a promotional video with stunning graphics to attract players' attention. It seemed like no problem for Lu Wu. He felt his blood boiling with excitement. But Bai Li objected. Creating a high-quality promotional video will cost a substantial amount. He's so poor. How is he going to handle this? Her words instantly extinguished the fighting spirit that had flared up in him. But he had his own plan. It wasn't necessary to spend a lot of money hiring a professional team to create a promotional video. In this world, everything from mountain peaks and rivers to a small flower or tree actually exists. I just need to use the battle artifact to temporarily restore this desolate place to its former glory, gathering together the dark energy. Lu Wu pondered. He waved his hand, activating the artifact's ability, and a large amount of dark energy began to swiftly converge from all directions, thickening above the underworld realm. The cloud, swirling like a vortex, formed and slowly descended, enveloping the abandoned underworld realm, becoming more concentrated. Soon, the majestic wooden palace of the underworld realm appeared before their eyes. Lu Wu is a descendant of the king of the northern realm of the underworld, and he utilizes a sacred artifact to transform himself into an illusion for shooting a commercial. Suddenly, an immense amount of dark energies converged around his body, forming a dazzling armor that emitted a dark shimmer akin to a black gemstone. This deeply moved Bei Li. She embraced his legs and, crying, said that he resembled the old King Bei Qi to a T. Lu Wu asked her to step back, as the form created by the accumulation of dark energies couldn't be maintained for too long. Soon, Lu Wu conjured a massive amount of dark energies before him, giving birth to countless terrifying ghosts and monsters, some as big as mountains, while others had 2 wings on their backs. All of them appeared quite horrifying and menacing. Bei Li didn't have a camera. She used a virtual helmet to record the scene. The performance officially began. In the dark sky, a formidable dragon roared, declaring, "King Bei Qi, do you think you can protect your people? I will take this entire territory of Bei Qi for myself." Then, Lu Wu, transformed into King Bei Qi, spoke coldly, creating an energy ball in his hand. "You want war, you'll get war. We, the warriors of Bei Qi, are ready to fight." With heavy steps, ranks of armored warriors emerged from the dark fog, ready for battle. At his command, tens of thousands of warriors desperately fought the enemy. The battle was extremely brutal and quite spectacular. Limbs were strewn everywhere, numerous warriors fell in battle, and the hostile monsters also suffered heavy losses under the relentless resistance of the Bei Qi army. King Bei Qi stood atop a pile of bodies as tall as a man, coldly gazing at the black dragon in the sky, declaring that this had been too easy for him. At the end of the battle, the black dragon personally engaged in combat with the wounded King Bei Qi. The air around was slashed by the wild breath of the black dragon. When the battle was almost decided, King Bei Qi, with a loud roar, burst into flames, transforming into a fireball, and charged directly at the terrified black dragon. The black dragon's skull was pierced through on the spot, but it proved to be insufficient to kill him. It turned out that King Bei Qi had been prepared for mutual destruction from the very beginning. In the next moment, flames like a giant engulfed thousands of miles, turning countless monsters into ash. The mournful roar of the ominous dragon also ceased at that moment. In the end, the Bei Qi army emerged victorious, but they had lost their leader forever. King Bei Qi, a majestic ruler of the underworld, was also engulfed by the falling sparks. The flame burned brightly, proclaiming the demise of the great sovereign. At that moment, a baby swaddled in cloth cried out loudly, and the will of King Bei Qi settled on his forehead. One of the warriors lifted the offspring of King Bei Qi high into the air. "The descendant of our lord is still alive. Our new ruler will eventually return." The next day, Wu Go held a meeting. At that time, one of the attendees critically addressed Mu Qingshui. "What kind of event is taking place here? Is this a place for people of your rank?" Wu Go stated that he was the one who had invited him here, adding that he was the first to find this game and told everyone about it. Hearing about this new game, all the high-ranking officials began to discuss this topic, as they had never before seen a game that could attract Wu Go's attention to such an extent. He asked everyone to be silent and requested Mu Qingshui to showcase the commercial for the game. Mu Qingshui suggested everyone put on VR helmets. "I've already loaded the GG game on the computer designated for conferences." One of the attendees noted in surprise, "This is the first time we are watching a GG game trailer at such a high-level meeting." A few minutes later, everyone was engrossed in watching the GG trailer, and many were even moved to tears. They really liked the commercial. After the meeting, Wu Go called Lu Wu. "Brother Lu, I've watched your GG. Honestly, I could hardly believe that you were able to produce the GG trailer so quickly. Did you have any pre-prepared material?" "GG is quite impressive. Everyone in our company is ecstatic about it, be it the graphics or the sound effects. Everything is top-notch. However, it lacks one component to be perfect." Lu Wu immediately asked, "What exactly is missing?" Wu Go responded, "The only thing missing is music that can set the mood. For a game's successful promotion, music is extremely important. That's what you are lacking." Wu Go's penetrating words made him realize where the problem lay. Bei Li was also agitated. How are we going to create music for the GG game trailer? Most importantly, you are poor, very poor. He understood that this was indeed a big problem. Contemplating further, he wondered if there was a way to create music without spending money. Nevertheless, this was indeed a major issue. Thoughts swirled around the lack of music in the commercial and how it could affect perception. Reflecting on this topic, he also started to ponder the main musical theme of the game. Wu Go said that it wasn't a problem at all. They could pay for the composition of the music and the lyrics, and then simply find a famous star to perform it. Lu Wu continued to ponder and told him that he wanted players to first appreciate the originality of the game. Wu Go paused for a moment. So that's what it was. He hadn't created music for the game for such a unique reason. Indeed, considering absolute authenticity, his idea made sense. Then he told Lu Wu about the game ratings. 15 games have a rating above 8 points, of which 3 have received 9 points. Our game received a perfect 10 out of 10, currently holding the first place. He also added that starting from tomorrow, the player voting for these 15 games would begin, allowing them to rate them. Moreover, the game would also officially be released on my gaming platform tomorrow. After talking with Wu Go, Lu Wu proceeded to create an NPC in the game, endowed with a soul and self-awareness. He waved his hand, holding the source soul, and instantly a human figure began to form out of green light. Soon before them appeared a handsome man in a black cloak and with snow-white hair. But no sooner had they taken a good look at him, than a mighty force erupted around. Incredibly, this newly born NPC possessed such power. At this moment, Bei Li suddenly remembered. If this is a full-fledged living being with its own will, it might attack us. Meanwhile, the NPC slowly approached. Then he suddenly knelt on one knee, bowed his head and said respectfully, "I, Lu Mo, pay my respects to the descendant of the Northern Sai Queen." Bei Li was somewhat stunned. It turned out that Lu Wu had foreseen everything and had already set up everything necessary. Now he was the adopted son of the Northern Sai King. She beckoned Lu Mo over with her hand and ordered, "I will take upon myself the ambitions of the Northern Sai King. You must also double your efforts to assist me. Now everything is in your hands." Lu Mo, being self-aware, was deeply grateful. "I will certainly protect Northern Sai with my life and do everything in my power to help the great Lu Wu fulfill the cherished dream of the Northern Sai King." Lu Mo's role in the game was similar to that of a village elder for newcomers in other games. He could provide players with basic information about the 6 lands of Northern Sai, and also, when a player reached level 20, they could contribute 50 souls to create a guild. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Tenlun Game Studio, many employees were rejoicing because their game, Catastrophe Evolution, had received a high rating of 9 points. But old Li was full of disdain. After all, it took 7 years to create this game, a lot of effort was invested, and he even felt that the rating was undervalued. He asked about the rating of another game, Uprising of the Divine Tribe. An employee answered, 8 points. Li sarcastically smiled. "To lose to us is no shame for them. It seems the first place is in our pocket." But the employee interrupted him. "But boss, the first place is held by the game Battlefield Online, which received a perfect 10 points. Hearing this, Li couldn't believe his ears. He thought that their main competitor was only Uprising of the Divine Tribe. And suddenly this unexpected thing appeared. He began to read the description of Battlefield Online, word by word. 100% realism, installation file size 800 megabytes. Soon, his face froze in astonishment. What the hell? A game with 100% realism in just 800 megabytes? This is complete nonsense. There's definitely something fishy here, surely some kind of trick. Meanwhile, with excitement and anticipation, Wu Go was waiting for Battle Online, Lu Wu's game, to finally appear on his gaming platform 173. But at that moment, the head boss of the Tenlun studio, Li Tianxia, called him. As soon as Wu Go picked up the phone, a barrage of accusations from Li Tianxia poured out saying, "Wu Go, I thought of you as a brother, and you're pulling off these shady dealings behind my back. My team spent a whole 7 years developing Catastrophe Evolution." Wu Go had a rough idea. Could it be that Battle Online has taken the first place, and Brother Li can't come to terms with it, feeling aggrieved? Li Tianxia was convinced that Wu Go must have gained substantial benefits. Otherwise, how could such a rubbish game of 800 megabytes with a mythical 100% realism get a shameless 10 points? Brother Lee, why don't you download it and try it out for yourself? Suggested Wu Go. This made Li Tianxia, who was about to unleash his complaints, hesitate. Wu Go, without adding anything more, simply hung up the phone. Li Tianxia immediately approached his computer, deciding to check it out for himself. Let's give it a try and see what this wonder is all about. He quickly browsed through the critics' reviews and found that they were all full of praise, with ratings being 10s across the board. He bit his lip. They really didn't skimp on money for this lousy game. They even hired professionals to inflate the rating. 800 megabytes and 100% realism? That's just ridiculous. After that, he decided to download the game, put on his virtual reality helmet, and began his immersive gaming experience, delving into the game world after watching the introductory video. He found himself amidst a crowd of newcomers who had just entered the game. In his opinion, with the current level of technology, achieving 100% realism in a game is impossible, but this game indeed did it. Not to mention the gameplay, solely from the standpoint of realism, even 10 points doesn't seem like an exaggeration. In the next instant, someone called out to him. He looked up and couldn't believe his own eyes. His opponent was none other than the head of the platform conducting nationwide games. A billionaire with a fabulous fortune reaching tens of billions. At that moment, Wu Guo turned to him and said, "Hurry up. Let's hunt monsters together. If we don't hurry, they'll disappear." Li Tian was rooted to the spot. Who could have imagined that the head of a corporation worth hundreds of billions would invite him, a mere player, to go monster hunting? Suddenly, a thought struck him. That's why Feng was in such a hurry to end the call just now. He was rushing to enter the game and start hunting. A few minutes later, they teamed up to hunt monsters. Wu Guo urged him, "Come on, hurry up. One more hit, and this spirit is ours. Then we can complete our side quest for monster hunting." Li Tian replied that he would definitely take down this monster. But as soon as he finished speaking, a bruiser with a shield ran up to them. Li Tian didn't even have time to grasp what was happening. In the next moment, the bruiser swung his axe with full force, finishing off the monster in front of him. At the same moment, Li Tian was thrown tens of meters away. He quickly got up and shouted to Wu Guo, "Watch out! Scoundrels have sneaked up on us. They want to steal our monster." But as soon as he said this, a dagger was thrust into his neck. He could never have anticipated such a turn of events. Immediately, a system notification appeared. "You have been killed by the player Ye Shui. Dear player, you have died in the game, and now face a 3-hour wait for resurrection." Li Tian was in shock. They stole my monster, killed me, and now there's this 3-hour wait for resurrection. Who came up with such a stupid feature in the game? Have they lost their minds? But thinking about it, he realized that this game was truly unique. Even he, an experienced game developer, was completely engrossed in it. Meanwhile, on the game's global channel, many professional players had already created their guilds and were actively posting recruitment advertisements. On the other side, in the game's office, thanks to the calculations of a magical artifact, it was revealed that all the players who were not online at the moment were in the state of waiting for resurrection after death. This meant that the player retention rate in this game had reached 100%. Lu Wu believed that this was still not enough, and that they needed to attract even more players. Bei Li mentioned that Sha Na has an army of 500,000 people and could attack them at any moment. Therefore, they needed to attract more players and form an overwhelming force before that happens. At that very moment, the phone rang. Wu Guo said that he needed help. Lu Wu asked him what had happened, and he explained that when he was hunting a spirit, someone waited until the monster had very little life left, and then finished it off. He was asking for help to deal with this situation. He asked for some coins to buy good equipment and settle the score with his offender, but Lu Wu looked at the coin balance and didn't know what to answer. After thinking for a bit, he told him that after the game's development got on the right track, coins started dropping only from monsters, and the developers no longer had the ability to generate them. He also mentioned that before the game launched, he had set aside 100 coins and could give them to him, but he would not be able to give him any more coins in the future. Wu Guo was surprised and asked, "So, are you saying that once the game entered its normal course, everything went out of control of your development team?" Lu Wu quietly replied, "There's no mistake. The development in the game is only moving forward, and even we ourselves do not know what will happen next, so please understand us. This middle-aged uncle, worth billions, is the head of the largest gaming platform in the country. And now, he, along with his teammates, is hiding in a small grove preparing to attack a monster. Lee, little brother, don't worry. If they take our monster, we will take theirs as well. But we need to choose the right moment for a sudden attack. I used the 100 coins that Lu Wu gave me to buy this sword. I will not miss. At this time, other players were enthusiastically slaying monsters in the distance, completely unaware that two people were lying in ambush in the bushes. And when they almost finished off the monster, the two watchers in the bushes exchanged glances and decided to attack. Out of nowhere, two berserkers wielding large swords appeared, startling the other players who were in the midst of finishing off the monster and were not expecting such a turn of events. Meanwhile, Wu Guo did not waste any time, and seizing the element of surprise, struck a man in the back. Yi Shuer skillfully jumped back, dodging the powerful blow. With a smirk, she raised her middle finger. Do you think you can deceive me, a warrior assassin, you fool? Wu Guo found himself in a tight spot. His partner was trying to pull out the sword, but he was struggling to do so. But Li Tianxia did not lose his optimism. He told Wu Guo not to worry, stating that he would pull out the sword shortly and then they would kill all the monsters. However, no sooner had he finished speaking than the monster they had almost killed suddenly attacked them. The three of them simultaneously looked at the huge monster that swung its weapon at them. The next moment, the system issued a message. The fighter was killed by Wu Guo. The fighter was killed by Li Tianxia. The fighter was killed by Ye Shuer. At that moment, a voice echoed throughout the office. These two lousy players set me up to be hit by the monster with almost no health left. This is unforgivable. Meanwhile, back at the head office of Gaming Platform 173, Wu Guo turned to his assistant. Please organize a gathering. Have the employees whose work can wait assemble in the large conference hall and wait for me there. Meanwhile, at the head office of Gaming Platform 173, Wu Guo addressed his assistant. Please organize this. Have the employees whose work can wait gather in the large conference hall and wait for me there. Meanwhile, at the Tenlong Gaming Studio, Li Tianxia suddenly patted one of his subordinates on the shoulder, causing him to panic and yell out, I was wrong, boss! I'm not the one who eats during lunch. Please forgive me. I won't do it again. Li Tianxia's eyes were bloodshot as he growled, That doesn't matter now. Go and tell everyone to put on their virtual helmets. We are preparing for battle. At this time, Ye Chen arrived with several of his friends at Ye Shuer's house and said that he had brought people with him, asking her to point out who had dared to offend her. She was surprised at how quickly he had managed to gather people and thanked him for his efforts. She turned to the house manager and instructed him to distribute items to everyone that would help resolve her problem. Uncle Mu immediately fulfilled her request and distributed the contents of the boxes to the people. Ye Shuer explained to her brother what needed to be done and asked him once again for his help. Hearing this, Ye Chen turned to his friends and said, What are you standing around for? Get ready to enter the game, choose your professions, gather together, and follow my sister to punish her enemies. Thus, under the guidance of Ye Shuer, Ye Chen and his friends created the guild Angel Guardians. At the same time, Wu Guoyi and Li Tianxia gathered all the employees of the company and formed the guild Avengers. Meanwhile, after a tiring day at work, Liu Wu decided to take a short nap, using his notepad as a makeshift cover. However, Bei Li, who hadn't slept, quickly woke him up. She discovered that the game currency they created was skyrocketing in value. A player named Ye Shuer is frantically buying the soul coins, which have increased in value 7-fold. The game had just launched. Only 2 days had passed. Official guilds weren't established yet, but two factions had already emerged. Initially, both sides contended for monsters, unleashing wrath and fury on each other. Now, a mere sight of a player from the opposing faction ignites a battle without any conversation. The soul coins, which can swiftly enhance one's power, have become a vital strategic resource. Both factions have wealthy players ready to compete for them, causing the prices of the soul coins to soar. Bei Li's eyes sparkled as she exclaimed, By the looks of it, we're going to be rich soon, and can buy lots of delicious food. Liu Wu too was elated, seeing the game's immense popularity among players. He calculated that if he sold all his coins, he'd become an instant millionaire. However, Bei Li was torn. She wanted to sell the coins for the delicious food, but the coins were crucial to them. She was uncertain and sought advice. Liu Wu felt the same helplessness, recalling the time he was offered 15 billion for the game. The purpose of creating the game in the afterworld was to restore the Bei Si Palace. Achieving this would require a significant amount of soul coins. They were still far from this goal and feared real-life challenges might prevent them from reaching it. Liu Wu proposed selling 500 soul coins initially to alleviate their financial strain, especially since such a small quantity wouldn't impact their main goal. Bei Li fully agreed. He then activated a combat artifact, transformed himself into a regular player, and entered their game to carry out the transaction. Bei Li asked him which class he wanted to pick, but Liu Wu had already made a choice. He equipped himself with the beginner mage gear. Starting as a mage is challenging. Apart from the initial Shadow Orb skill, he barely had any decent damage-dealing abilities. However, he wasn't entering for PvP or to be taken down by other players. That's unlikely to happen. Plus, the mage's potential is immense. The archives of the Afterworld are filled with numerous spells and combat techniques. Once we successfully recreate the Afterworld, we can upload all these techniques and spells into the artifact. Then, we can focus on designing professional skills and add a section in the store for skill purchases. The power of players will leap forward, and then, despite their initial weakness, mages will eventually become true wizards with unparalleled damage output among all classes. Being the owner of a privileged account, he opened the map where Ye Shui'er's location was marked by a shimmering red dot. Then, flying on a phoenix made of dark energy, he headed there to exchange the in-game currency for money. Bei Li, watching his retreating figure, admirably thought that he was becoming increasingly skilled with the battle artifact and finding new uses for it. Within minutes, he had reached the depths of the Phantom Souls mountain range. Upon arrival, he encountered Ye Shui'er's associates, who asked him which guild he belonged to and what he was doing there. Lu Wu replied that he was looking for Ye Shui'er. He had soul coins that he wanted to sell to her. It was also unexpected for him that in such a short time, conflicts among players in the game had intensified so much. Hearing the conversation, Ye Shui'er approached and asked, "Are you looking for me? Who are you?" "I don't know you." Lu Wu replied, "I heard you buy soul coins. I want to sell. What about the current market rate?" She immediately jumped down from the tree asking, "How many do you have? I'll take all of them." But inside, she was suspicious. She noticed he was alone, and furthermore, a mage, the weakest class at the beginning, not even on the top list. How many soul coins could he possibly have? Lu Wu stated he had 500 coins. Hearing this, she thought he had made a mistake and quoted an overly high amount. She came closer, blushing slightly, and re-asked how many coins he had. Taken aback, Lu Wu reiterated he had 500 coins to sell. She looked at him, unable to believe his words. Understanding that 500 coins for this game was a lot. Such a large amount made her think he was deceiving her. Then, Lu Wu opened the game interface and moved 500 coins into the trading window to prove he wasn't lying. Seeing that he was indeed offering to trade 500 coins, she realized he had been truthful. Her face immediately changed, and she was thrilled at the opportunity to buy so many game coins, telling him she would take them all. Lu Wu asked her to transfer the money via a trading website. However, she asked for his bank account details and immediately instructed her employee to transfer the required sum of money, which was 350,000. Lu Wu was surprised that she was not at all concerned about such a large amount of money. In the next moment, her employee left the game to complete the money transfer. While they waited for the transaction, Ye Shui'er asked where he had gathered so many game coins. Lu Wu replied that it was all thanks to the Soul Collector quest. He was very lucky to have obtained all 5 souls and exchanged them for game coins. Ye Shui'er responded that she had noticed a long time ago that souls could be exchanged for coins, but no one in her guild had managed to obtain a single soul, so he was very fortunate. The girl returned to the game and said she had transferred the money. Ye Shui'er asked him to check his balance to make sure the money had been transferred. At that moment, Bei Li whispered in his ear, passing on the information that the money had been received in their bank account. Lu Wu transferred 500 coins and said he trusted her, adding that they might meet again for another transaction if he needed to sell more game coins. Ye Shui'er stood and watched him leave, struck by the fact that he hadn't checked for the money in his bank account. She assumed that money was not a big concern for him. In the next moment, their attention was shifted to a guild member who, with a trembling voice, reported that their fellow guild members were in danger. He said they were surrounded by elite monsters, and it was impossible to resist because there were so many of them. This information puzzled Ye Shui'er. At that moment, demon troops on wolves were approaching their lands, wanting to know who dared to invade their territory. If this captivating story has struck a chord with you, please share your thoughts in the comments, and I will definitely prepare a continuation just for you. Your opinion means a lot to me, and I am eagerly looking forward to sharing the next chapter of this thrilling adventure with you. Thank you for watching, and see you soon on the channel.